It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Let's move on to Croissant's question.
Croissant?
Yes.
Like
Croissant.
the bread.
Croissant.
Sounds delicious.
He says, hey guys, I'm on track to max my retirement accounts and want to save for liquid assets. I like the order of the FOO. Is there a list of cash goals to aim for? Emergency fund first or a car fund second? What do you think?
Yeah, so this is what the FOO really is, an all-purpose, all-terrain vehicle in a lot of ways, because this is one of those things where, because we always talk about, look, first step one, which is keep your, is really deductibles covered to make sure your financial life doesn't get thrown into a ditch with something that was unexpected. So that's going to be covered. But for a question like this, we're just going to assume one's covered, and we made it through 2 and 3. So we made it through the employer match. We made it through all the high interest credit card debt. Now we're at step 4, which is the emergency reserves. The basic guidance on this is 3 to 6 months. Mm-hmm. But then realize we have structured the financial order of operations to really help you kind of stress test and figure out what's the next best use for your dollar. When you're first starting out, you just need reliable transportation. That's why we did 23-8. So you need to, I think that they work together, and the fact that you would still be in step 4, emergency reserves, but it just probably means you're going to have if you're going to have that emergency reserves cover this car, your down payment, that 20%, it's going to be a modest car, because you still have to think about what I might need this money for if I lost my job or had something come your way. 23-8 works because it just means maybe your eyes don't align with your wallet, and the fact that instead of buying the $40,000 car, you have to go make the $20,000 car work. Same thing with housing. There's a reason on that very first house we let you put down only 3 to 5% versus what all the other financial pundits are telling you with 20%. We're trying to give you flexibility so you can work within step 4 of that 3 to 6 months or beyond. Now, I want to come back to, you're going to mature. You're going to make it through the steps of the financial order of operations. You're going to end up at step 8, which is prepaid future expenses. And that's where you get to start doing the fun stuff, where you say, maybe I want the Tesla. Maybe I want the fancier car. And that I'm going to need to have more money. So that's why it's not step 4. It's more of a step 8. And it comes into maybe when you're upgrading that house, if you don't have enough equity in your existing home that you need to load it up so you can upgrade to get to the nicer house. That's once again probably a step 8 of the financial order of operations, because this is when you're plussing your life and taking it into because you want to be more comfortable. It's not really a need at that point. It's just because this is a want that could turn into a love because you're in a better financial situation.
Yeah, I want to read the second half of his question again. It was the part about the cash. How do you set up cash accounts?
He said, I like the order of the FOO. Is there a list of cash goals to aim for? So should he do emergency fund first, car fund second? How,
yeah, okay, yeah. No, your answer, I agree with everything you said. You have to lay out needs, loves, wants. Emergency fund is not an option. You need it, right? Like if the poo-poo hits the fan, that's what the emergency fund is there for. And the funny thing about emergencies, we never know when they're going to hit, right? So you have to be prepared when they don't. A car, if you do not have one, like I'm going to argue, even before you start down the FOO path, you got to be able to have a car to get you from point A to point B, unless you live in a city that has some really solid public transportation that you can use, and that's an availability. For a lot of folks, that's not the case. So I would put a reliable automobile in sort of that needs. But if it's saving for the next car, saving for the future car, that's different. That's a want. And so you have to sort of prioritize your cash goals that way. You already said this, but I think the needs falls towards the beginning of the financial order of operations, 1 and 4 kind of dribbled in there. The wants fall later on, step 8, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, you can keep them all in the same account, right? Like I know a lot of folks do this. I've got my online high yield savings account that holds my emergency reserve. It's okay if I'm saving for the car or whatever. I just dump it in that same account. I don't want to have 50 different accounts with 50 different goals, although you can. It's just easier for me to keep it consolidated that way.
I think you and I are unique, though, because have you ever watched somebody eat? Some people, I'm the type of person, I can take a bite of meatloaf, eat that, then eat the green beans, put that in, and I don't care because I figure it's all mixing up in my stomach anyway.
Sure.
A lot of people They will. I'm gonna eat my green beans first.
All that first.
Then we'll eat all the corn.
Yeah.
Then we'll get to the main course, which is the meatloaf. And they like to keep things separated. And I respect that because everybody's brain works a little bit different. That's why you would have systems like envelope systems and other things where things work. But here's the thing. We can digitalize this. We can bring it into the modern world we live in. I know, and look, this is an advertisement because they don't pay me for sharing this, but I have my emergency reserves with Ally.
Mm-hmm.
And Ally... that's one of the companies I use, and I know they have their own internal earmarking thing where you can essentially put savings goals within their emergency reserves account. So if you require that, Prasant, where you need to kind of have some separation built into your cash reserves to know what and why you're saving this money, take advantage of some of those tools. I think that would work. Bo and I are more of, hey, get it in the tent. It's all going to be in that bucket for emergency reserves, whereas some people need to kind of separate that out a little bit to get it right in their brain. We respect all of those different things. You just have to figure out what works for you.
Love it.